through, finish. So yeah, that was. I wish somebody had told me to be a social work major when I did undergraduate, though, because it would have saved me 2 years of my life and $20,000. Yeah. What's your major again? Oh, right. And you're a sophomore? Okay. We're working something out with the criminal justice program that we can show the sheets together to if you want to add social work and do both.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Because you can. You can. It is very, you can do it on your own, but we're just trying to really because these are all the same. You already take intro because criminal justice requires you, and there's only 8 other social work classes, so they would be your electives. So that's all. Yeah, there's after this, unless you've already taken 2,200, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other classes. Yeah, you already have to take stats and research anyway for criminal justice, right?
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I remember because, that's why they offer it. It's also, there's a criminal justice research, a criminal justice statistic. So you could use those. And yeah, there's only 7 other classes in the field practicum. Like if you like the child welfare stuff, we actually have a paid practicum that's $5,000 if you did that your senior year, which is kind of nice to be paid for your practicum. So that is all. I feel like we are on chapter 6. That's right. Oh, we were getting into some stuff about social Darwinism and sociological theories on Monday. This is chapter 6. So we're a little bit ahead, but we watched both Unplanned and then the Janes trailers. And then Moffat 21 that's the other one that they're theorizing that who is that lady? Not Jane Addams. She was the founder of social work. Who founded Planned Parenthood? I should know this. Margaret Sanger. That's it. There's some theory saying Margaret Sanger wanted to put all the clinics in certain parts of the United States. You think? So I know that's kind of how we ended the discussion on Tuesday. I always try to keep it open for discussion. Like, I don't know. I mean, it is weird that all the clinics are next to certain parts of.
She said the black race said never been here.
Right. She sounded like she's a eugenicist. I think they call it eugenicist. So like she believed in eugenics. Like she was on blonde hair and blue eyes to stay alive. I would be dead. We'd all be dead. So you have blonde hair and blue eyes. So it sounds like she was taken from that same cut of cloth. Any questions on chapters, papers, like the assignment? You still have till like the 21st to do that one. So is it finally getting colder outside? Not at all?
Like the last 3 days, the weather is just going off.
Yeah, it's like
It's typical Ohio.
it get a little
Right.
What he said.
It's like
It's a little hot.
It's probably cool in the morning,
Right.
but like after probably like 12, it's
I started getting hot.
It's like
Right. Yes. So I'll open this up again. You guys will get sick of seeing this. The reason I open it is if you do all the crap on this sheet, you're done with school forever if you want to be. And if you get the social work bachelor's, you only have 1 year to a clinical master's of social work too, instead of 2 like I took. So we have 2 criminal justices, right? Psych. What are you guys? Are you social work? I'm forgetting.
yeah.
Okay. That's okay. So you guys just have to do this. Psych and Crim J do this. We all do the left side. And then if you want to add on the 8 classes plus your internship for social work, if you do like some of the child welfare stuff, then we have the degree for you. All right. So moving on to some of so we're in social injustice. Have you guys ever had any classes on social injustice in the first place? Or like discussions, I should say. Like, what is your knowledge of social justice? How can social workers prevent social injustice? Right.
Question again?
Like, how would you define social justice, and then how can psychologists, social workers, and criminal justicians prevent social injustice? What can we do to prevent the injustices?
Okay, I got a question. What code of ethics are we supposed to be looking at, Mark?
Oh, is it for the NASW Code of Ethics? Yeah, so all you have to do is type in that. And it's free to look at, NASW Code of Ethics. So yeah, that does have social justice defined. If you do a search, it'll be the first thing that comes up. You can download it almost anywhere. There's some videos that help break it down, but as social workers, we're fighting social injustice. So yeah, it's because it's the second core values. So our first core value is we do service to others. Anybody know a social worker in here? Like mom, dad, cousin, friend, family, or seen a social worker? Did they have them in your school growing up? What made you want to take a social work class or do social work? I know it's required, but.
It's required, but it's interesting.
Right. It covers so much stuff. It's almost like everything in the world in your life is here. So the mission of social work profession is rooted in core values embraced by social workers. This is your next paper. So you go to this, that's the ethics. Here's the core values. So you can write stuff about that. Basically, it's one that you might think you'll have an easy time doing and agree with, and then have maybe a page and a half on one you think would be hard to do. And it might be service to others, social justice, dignity and worth of the person, importance of human relationships, integrity, and then competence. Sometimes the competence one is a hard, because it's showing that you finished your social work degree, you got your social work license, and now you practice. So that's the piece of the competence. We're training you guys to be competent right now. And so any one of those could be the stuff that's easy for you. The service sometimes seems easiest because it could be working at a homeless shelter, could be working at a food pantry, could be something simple. The social justice piece could also be easy and go on that lines of like working at a homeless shelters, helping end unaffordable housing or bring about more affordable housing. Did you guys see the inflation statistics yesterday? So, it was not great news. So, do you guys remember inflation, what it is?
It's like when prices go up.
Right. Oh, let's see if there's a video. So they're saying it is going down, but I feel like it was confusing. You know how the media always spins a story to make it sound good? So last month, inflation was 8.7%. That means all the stuff you buy. What's like the favorite thing you guys buy every day? Even if it is like,
Ginger ale.
there you go. The price of ginger ale. Did it go up at all?
I actually didn't know it. Like, I didn't care to check, but I just always bought it.
Right.
Probably did though.
Right. So do you order it through Amazon or do you get it?
I just get it in the store.
Okay. Like the Bargs kind or the all natural kind or the
You know,
hippies?
Canada Dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So like a 12 pack might be $3.
Mhm.
Okay. I do remember it being $2
Oh, God.
10 years ago. So it was a while ago. But if it went up by 8.5% since last year, $3 would mean now it's $3.25. So you don't really notice it. It's small increases, but over time, it's if you had to make, say, $30,000 a year to live last year, this year you have to make $32,500 to live. And that's a lot of freaking money. Like that's a lot more. Like not everybody got an 8% raise. Usually you get like a 1 or a 2% raise. Like don't they do it in quarters when you're adolescents or teenage? Like, all right, you make $10 an hour. Tomorrow you make $10.25. What's the biggest raise any of you guys has gotten before? They ever get dollar raises anymore? That's pretty good. That's like $1,000 a year, I think. Because every dollar is $2,000 a year if you're working full time. Because you work. Do you know how many work hours are in a year? I know that's another weird math question. Say you do 40 hours a week for 50 hours, 50 weeks a year. So it's 40 times 50. There's actually 52 weeks in a year, but they always give you, it is 2,000. Some call it 2080 because there's 52 weeks in the year. So, long story short, justice or injustice with inflation prices. You know, that's kind of, it seems that way, yeah, because it's like harder to pay for rent. How much is rent for any of you guys? Even the dorms.
Oh, it's like, wait, it's like 30,000 around that.
Then you got to pay a food meal plan,
Yeah,
like another 1,000 or two.
25.
Now that's expensive. So it's 3,000 to rent a room, but if you want a meal plan, is that every single meal though?
No, the highest one is 25.80. Goes like, I think the one after that is like 24.40,
Okay.
and then there's one under that. And it's like each one is like $100 difference.
And you get like carte blanche, 3 meals a day, 8 days a week or whatever, 7 days a week. So that's like $5,000-6,000 for eating and living each semester. So it's $12,000 a year just to like live here. That's why they say we would always gain our freshman 15 because I tried to eat my money's worth out of the food. I'd be like, it's easy to eat everything as it's, don't they have some good food, but not much?
Yeah, it's good. So.
That's good. Okay. So, all right. So that's, I'll do the quick video. Oh, we got people signing in. 3 square meals. Okay, so here was the deal with inflation numbers. Hopefully it's not too much jargon, but it helps us to understand what's going on with food and shelter. And we all need food, a warm house and a full belly to live till tomorrow, right? Otherwise we die. So that's a piece of social justice.
Kelly, what do you have?
On the headline, expected up 0.2% for our consumer price index July read, unchanged, double goose eggs, 0. And last month, of course, up 1.3. That's the highest level since 2005. If we look at ex-food and energy, up 0.3, also less than the 0.5% anticipated, and less than half of the rearview mirror, which was up 0.7. The high water mark here, folks, goes all the way back to April of 2021.
These numbers might sound so crazy, and I probably didn't pay attention when I was your age, and I wish I paid more attention because like different things came up with them. The biggest being, like what do you buy every single day? Like cars too. How much is a car? When I was your age, I could buy a $300 car and it would work. Yeah. So I know it's like at least $3 to $5 grand for a piece of crap, right?
Does it just depend on the brand or is it just in general?
You mean the type of car?
Yeah.
Well, for example, my brother and I drove this Honda we bought that had 110,000 miles on it. We bought it for $500 and we drove it another 150,000 miles. So it's just like, it's like an old Honda that run forever. And it was an 86 Honda. We bought it in like 99. So it was 13 years old. I guess that would be like buying a 2009. But I have a feeling nowadays you guys have to pay $5 grand for an 09 or something old, right? Like how much are cars?
Yeah, like 3,000.
And that's like maybe a Geo, a Kia. What are the cheap ones? And what? So cars and housing have been what have seen the most expensive raises. You know what I mean? They've gone way up because they had. I feel like there's more demand. Like there's all of you want to have a car, maybe. Do they let you guys have cars on campus now?
Yeah.
Some colleges don't let you, right? That's what
You just have to pay like the car.
is it more than 50 or $60?
Yeah.
70?
It's like 60, 69.
Okay.
60 or 60.
Okay. So there's more demand because of immigration. Have you guys seen some of the stuff going on in immigration? So we generally have about 2,000 to 3,000 people crossing the border every day. Oh yeah, that's the next class. It's about foster care and a kid. He's waiting for his mom and she's getting something. It's kind of sad, actually. All right, immigration. Does anybody live close to a border state?
I don't know which state.
Usually like Texas. For the Mexico border, it is. I know Florida and Alabama don't touch a border because they're on a beach. But I'm pretty sure Texas, Arizona, California, and maybe Nevada. For the Canadian border, you're talking like New York, Maine, Minnesota, Washington. So you get lots of immigration there. And that's a lot of reason why also some of the challenges have come about because we have more people wanting to buy things, like we all want to. So there's a lot of immigration that's going on. El Norte. That was one that was big video when I was growing up, but a lot of folks are coming here for just like a safer space. Now we got somebody from a border town. You might be the only one from a border state. I think, because we were asking anybody here from like a Canadian or a Mexican border state, and I think you might be the only one. And you're still pretty far, right?
On the border?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the DFW area.
Right. So it would almost be 8 hours south of a drive because I've driven down there. When I went, I hiked Big Bend National Park. And when I came out, the immigration officer spoke to me in Spanish. I guess he thought I was crossing the border, and I didn't speak Spanish, so I spoke it back, but he wanted to like look in my trunk, look in my coolers, and look at everything. You guys heard anything about immigration before?
My mom works for immigration.
Okay. So you could probably tell us a lot about it. Right now, I forget what solutions they're even proposing. That's why I'm saying, like, should we let everybody come across, and do we have enough resources to give them food, water, shelter, housing, cars, electronics? Do we have enough? Or do we need to tighten it up, slow it down? My dissertation for my doctorate was on asylum status refugees that came from Burundi, Africa. So here's the trailer of El Norte. This is a recent, these folks came from Guatemala. So sometimes they walk, and it can be as far as 1,000 miles. So it takes like months. This came out a long time ago, though, so I don't know how modern it will be. Anyone been to Mexico down here, or been to?
I've been to.
Okay, so have you ever seen like a third world country? That's kind of what I'm saying, like the experience. It's pretty much the only way we can wash our clothes. When I lived down there, they taught me how to wash my clothes like that. It's a pain in the ass, I'll tell you that much. It's hard. You're just like, washing machines are nice. That's coffee.
United by family. Torn by injustice. Inspired by a dream. Al norte.
El norte.
They traveled thousands of miles to get to a new land. But their journey was just beginning.
So that clothing is native to Guatemala, which is probably about 1,000 miles from Texas.
More than a decade after its original theatrical release, the dream still lives in a land called El Norte.
Now, norte means the north in Spanish, and they're referring to the United States of America. So to get to where we have some of the access to resources and things that inflation does affect. There is a lot of, like opinions and immigration caravans. So when you went there, what did you see?
I saw it was like a lot of poverty kind of. And then there was I would say there was monkeys swinging from the trees.
That is crazy, actually.
And,
They'll steal your shit too. They'll take your food out of your, take your coke out of your hand.
and then I think we saw growing off the tree.
Huh?
Yeah.
Like they grow chocolate and also coffee. So I lived in, I want to find you guys a more recent one, but these were big for whatever reason in 2018. This is how many people were coming up to Texas and California in 2018. So this is just 4 years ago. I don't know if they've slowed it down, stopped it. Oh, I hate when these videos are just like words because it doesn't. So that's one of the caravans. This one might actually be more of a video. Let's see here. And they're walking, so it's like, holy crap. It's something that we now are even dealing with in Cincinnati and other big cities and in Ohio. And as social workers, what are our responses?
On the roadway in southern Mexico, Finally, endless stream of people making their way on foot towards the United States. Men, women, and children walking through pouring rain and sweltering heat. They come from across Latin America, places like Venezuela, Cuba, and Colombia, all with the same goal, immigration to the U.S.
We left Colombia because of the homophobia. We both got physically and verbally attacked. We had to cross the Darien jungle and trails through many xenophobic countries.
It's the latest and one of the largest migrant caravans to make the nearly 2,000-mile trek north through Mexico. The group's journey began Monday in the city of Tapachula. Organizers claim there are nearly 15,000 migrants in the caravan, but authorities in Mexico estimate it's closer to 5,000. Robinson Reyes is making the desperate journey and says the current policy, in which migrants process their paperwork in southern Mexico rather than at the U.S. border, is not working quickly enough.
We've been here for almost a month, and they haven't solved anything regarding humanitarian visa. We want a future for our families. We are not violent. We just want a better future for our families.
The caravan setting off on the very same day that world leaders from across the hemisphere meet in Los Angeles at the Summit of the Americas. It's the first time the U.S. has hosted the Triennial Conference since it began in Miami in 1994. But this year's summit kicking off with controversy over a number of exclusions. The United States refusing to invite leaders from Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua.
The president's principal position is that we do not believe that dictators should be invited.
Prompting leaders like the president of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, to skip the conference and send a representative instead.
No puede haber cumbre de las Américas si no participan todos los países del continente americano.
So this was within the past year. This is during 2021 and 2022. I know we don't see as much of this in the north, like Ohio and Kentucky, but we're starting to see it. So Texas sees a lot more. Have you heard of any of the responses like Texas has given to this, or like Florida even? Some of them are coming from Florida to Cuba, as it's only a 90-mile boat ride, really.
I know it's that in Texas. It's real conservative down there.
Mm.
So all I see is that they're trying to get everyone illegal out of Texas as
Right.
fast as possible.
Right. Yeah. And we as United States don't seem to have a good solution for it yet. You know what I mean? Like when I wrote my dissertation on the refugee resettlement program at St. Leo's in Cincinnati, we took 300 Burundians and 400 Guatemalans. The food pantry serves about 1,500 a month and helps with housing and citizenship. Usually you need asylum status to come here legally or safely, and then there's a few routes you can take to get legal citizenship. If you're born here, you become an automatic citizen. So if like somebody went across the border, had the baby in Texas or California, some people call those anchor babies, because we even have folks fly from China when they're pregnant and have the baby in California and become a U.S. citizen. And that's how we get like the benefits of an American citizen, which is sometimes food stamps, sometimes housing, affordable housing, social security number, things of that nature. So I wanted to kind of dig in on this because this is one of the areas of social justice that have been coming up a lot. I know last class we watched some of the abortion videos and documentaries, getting into like the just world beliefs. So one challenge we saw is, could I provide housing to all of those people that come here and cross the border? Should I have them stay in my apartment or my house? Like, do we build bunk beds? Do we have enough money to build housing and feed them? So those are some of the questions that come up. I have a lot of connections in like Nicaragua and El Salvador as I lived there for many years. And it, you know, was definitely something close to my formation as a social worker. But then chapter 6 talks about the effects of social injustice. So there can be oppression through discrimination, dehumanization. We saw in Latin America, one way they could get a visa here, is if they show like threat to their life. Maybe they're discriminated against in their country, so they come here for safe and just and fair treatment. Which I guess we've seen quite a bit of. I think the U.S. gave out a visa to people for many, many years that were experiencing oppression. So the definition of oppression in chapter 6 is oppression resulting from an imbalance of power between the identified majority population and groups with minority status. Oppression denies minority groups access to opportunities and resources and limits their rightful participation in society. They also define dehumanization. So that's by regarding others with cold detachment and showing indifference to human misery. Dehumanization obscures the inherent worth and dignity of personhood. Victimization, that's ascribing blame and victim status, confers perceptions of helplessness, powerlessness, and alienation. So as social workers, we try to address, is that a fly or a bee? I'm allergic to bees, that's why I'm asking. I probably won't. I know, I can't tell. Uh-oh, class is over. I'm just kidding. No, I at least want to get through chapter 6 and your all's questions for the assignment. So still looking at the code of ethics. You could also write about the 6 purposes of the NASW Code of Ethics. So it identifies values on which social workers' mission is based. It also summarizes broad ethical principles, like the stuff that are mentioned up here, like integrity, competence. And like I said, it's a very easily searchable document. Just type NASW Code of Ethics. And then this is the entire document. So you can write about the ethical principles and it defines them even better, like service. Social workers' primary goal is to help people in need and to address social problems. So homelessness, immigration, people that come up here without a place to stay. Social workers elevate services to others above self-interest. So do we take all the food that's handed out on Tuesdays here in our parking lot? Which parking lot is that handed out? Over here. First Tuesday of the month, we have the food bank that's open to all students, faculty, and staff. Do we, make sure it is spread out equitably and passed around, and even folks here that are struggling with inflation, so like the cost of living, the cost of food, the cost of housing, and make sure that an equitable sample is given out. The next value being social justice that we're hammering on mostly here, the ethical principle. Social workers challenge social injustice. So we pursue social change, particularly with and on behalf of vulnerable and oppressed individuals and groups of people. Social workers' social change efforts are focused on issues of poverty, unemployment, discrimination, and other forms of social injustice. These activities seek to promote sensitivity to knowledge of oppression and cultural and ethnic diversity. Social workers strive to ensure access to needed information, services, resources, and equality of opportunity, and meaningful participation in decision-making for all people. So that's a tall order. Like, they're putting a lot of stuff on us as social workers to do. This is one that's challenging at times because There is becoming points where we don't have resources to give to everybody. Like if if everybody in the world came to America to feed, we would try. I don't know if we would succeed. You know what I mean? Like, do we have enough food and housing for everybody? That bee's hungry. Can you tell? I know. Is it a yellow jacket or is it a honeybee? You can open the window too if they're looking for sugar this time of year because they got to get ready for winter. What's that? You got a sugary drink?
I said, I'm leaving them to put some sugar on top.
It's coming for you. It's coming. Well, so because most of the plants start dying right about now and don't bloom and have pollen and sugar, it comes after our Coca-Cola and orange juice. I heard my beehive delivered. I got chickens and bees delivered by the U.S. mail.
Bees though? You ever eaten like a raw?
Those are good. Those are really good. So that's one of the ways that we fight hunger and oppression and social injustice is like voluntary simplicity and like growing our own food and finding ways to, take care of people, which gets into our next value, the importance of human relationships. So this could be another one that you write about in your paper. It could be, this one would be easy for me because I do value human relationships. I am a people person. I am outgoing. I like to go, or you could be an introvert, and then there's those that are both introverted and extroverted. You ever heard of that? Like some people energize by going back to your room by yourself and doing an hour or two alone. What's that? Yeah. Yep. So, and you don't have to be an extrovert to be a social worker. It's just showing we do value human relationships. Like we see the interdependence of each other. No man is island, no woman. Like a farmer has to grow my food, or like, I do try to grow my own food and I succeed rather poorly at it. Like mostly the deer eats it all. Any of you guys grow up with the garden? Anybody? Grow up with a garden at all?
Yeah, my grandma, she likes to plant a lot.
Okay. Because for real, our grandparents had to grow their own food in a lot of instances, like more than we do now. With like cheaper oil, we have stuff delivered in the wintertime. It mostly comes from South America or Asia. Right now, we grow a lot of food. But have you guys heard of some of the harvests that are going on this year in terms of food? What's causing the inflation? So apparently we're down 20 to 30% this year. So there is less food, and that's why it's getting more expensive. He's making sure that thing's dead. Oh, these bees. So last few values are integrity, importance of human relationships, and competence. And this is the one that we help train you guys on. So you get the social work degree to become competent in what you do and kind of know things about things. I know some things about some things. And then we move on to the ethical standards. And this is other stuff that you can, again, write about. You think it would be easy for you to do, challenging for you to do, or you wouldn't find yourself doing it. Like one people used a lot in their last papers is like they say to not, get too touchy-feely or huggy with your clients, and people found that hard. If you're counseling them, you'd maybe want to give them a hug. That's closer to the end of these ethical responsibilities, but we've got self-determination. And you know what that means? That's a tough one. I'll put it out there quick just so tell me if this one makes sense. We want people to determine for themselves what they want to do with their life. So you make your own choice. We can give like ideas and suggestions, but we're not going to make that decision for you. We're not going to say you need to do this and you must do that. We also, for our services, like I work at a private practice, so I see clients individually. Our teachers union lets us see 8 clients a week. So I have in Lebanon, I see 5 people. I have 5 spots Monday and 3 spots Wednesday in the morning. So I try to have morning and night. When I see somebody as a social worker, they need to sign informed consent that they want to see me, that like they're choosing to come here to see us as a social worker or psychologist or even in criminal justice. What other majors do we have in here? Social work, psychology, criminal justice. Competence. This is another big one. So this is showing that as a social worker, you finished your bachelor's in social work from a university, you did your licensure test and got your license, and now you practice social work. We also ask our social workers to be culturally competent and socially diverse. So what do you think that means to you guys? What would you have to do to become culturally competent and socially diverse?
Do you research about different like cultures and stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah, so like the people that come from Guatemala, Nicaragua, Burundi, Africa, El Salvador, Ireland. What other countries do we have that people come over from? Apparently, if I like look back on my ancestry, it is German Irish. There are some research articles showing we all started in Central Africa. Like, you know, the first human being ever, was that Ruby or somebody? Do you guys remember? First human being, they found the remains are like thousands and thousands of years old. And then from Africa, we went into northern climates like Germany, even Russia. And that's the only difference actually is it called melanin? Have you ever heard of melanin in our skin? What does that mean? I'm only asking, it's like kind of.
I thought melanin was like, that's what makes our skin dark.
Right, yeah. And if you're in a northern climate, to survive we need to absorb vitamin D, and then the more sun we get, the darker we get. And it's harder to absorb vitamin D, but around equatorial areas, we have a different amount of melanin than we do when we were in Germany and Ireland. But again, we were all rooted, started in Africa. Depending on where immigration took us, our bodies change over time. And that's really the only difference. Like we all bleed red and we have different genetics there. But so that cultural competence, social diversity. I tried to learn Kirundi when I was working with Burundians, and it was really hard. So like learning another language. Any other ways you guys could become more culturally competent or socially diverse? Socially diverse?
Like the people you're friends with, people try to be friends with more like different cultures.
Very true. Absolutely, yeah. So, and it says here, social workers should understand culture and its function in human behavior in society, recognizing the strengths that exist in all cultures. Social workers should have knowledge base in their clients' cultures and be able to demonstrate competence in the provision of services that are sensitive to clients' cultures and to differences among people and cultural groups. Social workers should obtain education and seek to understand the nature of social diversity and oppression with respect to race, ethnicity, national origin, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, age, marital status, political beliefs, religion, immigration status, and mental or physical disability. That's where you guys see me not ever really take a strong opinion stance. I try to give you all the facts and evidence and different ideas that are out there, and you make your own determination on things, because we all learn in different ways. One thing we did learn when refugees came from Burundi, Africa, is there is a big connection with a higher power and a God of their understanding. And as a social worker, and I have a degree in counseling, so like for offering them counseling, knowing that most of them were not open to counseling. Like they thought God would solve a lot of the problems. And that's okay. It's just like a different cultural thing where they really believe in counseling and social work. So working with that and understanding that, you know, you still can use the God component and the spiritual component with help through a social worker and a counselor. And that doesn't have to be thrown out. It doesn't say only science will solve it or God will solve it. They might work together and like, and being sensitive to that diversity piece, because that was something in America, like you're always told growing up, like go see a social worker, go see a counselor. It's okay. Or depending on even the culture you're from in America, maybe some are like, no, you don't need a counselor. All you need is God to solve this. Or all you need is, you guys ever heard that before?
Mhm.
So that's another understanding of just social diversity and cultural competence. We could sometimes have conflicts of interest. So say your cousin comes to you for counseling and oftentimes you usually just pass them on to the best social worker that you know, because that would be like a dual relationship and a conflict of interest. Gosh, there's such a large list of conflict of interest here, but so many things can come up there. That's the dual relationship one. But just that, like, you know, are we advocating for things just because it will benefit us or because it will benefit the whole society as a whole? So it says social workers should be alert and avoid conflicts of interest that interfere with the exercise of professionalism, discretion, impartial judgment. Social workers should inform clients when a real potential conflict of interest arises and take reasonable steps to resolve the issue in a manner that makes clients' interest primary and protects the client's interest to the greatest extent possible. It says in some cases, protecting the client's interest may require termination of the professional relationship and proper referral of the client. Like I said, if my cousin came to me, I wouldn't see them for counseling. I'd pass them on to like the next best social worker I know. That's one thing to avoid the dual relationships. Confidentiality. So stuff shared with you has to be kept confidential. So like we're deemed good counselors and social workers. We can't go gossip it because I know somebody and they come to see me for services, and then I can share it with my supervisor, but I can't just go gossip about the person. Like they just shared this really important piece of information with me. What's that? Even then, so like you could share a case example and you are not going to give identifying information about them, you know, like their name, their social, where they live, any of that. But usually, mostly you talk to your supervisor about it. You know what I mean? But yeah, you can't put on blast like I just had President Biden come see me in counseling today. I can't tell her that. You know what I mean? And that's weird, but I can't tell her that. You know what I mean? Like it's confidential. So somebody big from one of the universities that I used to attend actually came and saw me. I couldn't talk about it. You know, I wanted to talk about it. I'd be like, dude, this person who's a big wig, like came and saw me at my private practice, but they purposefully came to me because they probably wanted to get the heck out of the Cincinnati area. And my private practice is in the Lebanon area. And, you know, I wanted to, it felt intriguing that they came to see me and whatnot, but I couldn't tell anybody about it. So, you know, you want to brag on it, like, dude, this bigwig came and saw me, and like, I feel like I helped them through their problems. You never know, though, you know, like, because again, we're not going to give answers or solutions. That's another piece of like working through stuff, is that we might give suggestion, but we're not going to have answers to. We don't have a magic wand where you can wave it and fix your stuff. We might have suggestions. So you see how much is dedicated to privacy and confidentiality too. Like it details the F out of it. We should protect confidentiality of clients responding to requests from members of the media, confidentiality of written and electronic records. So like I can't use my email from here for something at the private practice. Like I got to use my agency's email because they've got the HIPAA protections and all that stuff. I can't, I don't friend clients on like Facebook. That's another one that comes up, like especially while we're still in session. There could be a certain number of years, or maybe I had one find me 10 years later and just wanted to like thank me, and that was kind of cool. We'd been done for 10 years, so I felt okay talking to him when I worked at Claremont Recovery Center. Access to records, sex relationships, a big one. A lot of people are like, yeah, we agree. You can't have sex with your clients, period. And doctors and lawyers, they only have 5 years or like a certain number of years they can't have a sexual relationship. In social work and psychology and like fields where you get into their heads like a shrink, is for life. You can't have a sexual relationship ever because you've got power over that person. And it details it well here. It's like social workers should under no circumstances engage is consensual or forced. So even if they're like, yeah, like I don't have $100 today, can I pay you some other way? No. Like, thanks, but no thanks. Like that's the only right answer there. Social workers should not engage in sexual activities or sexual contact with clients' relatives. So it spreads out to like mom and dad, if you're seeing a kid, wife, husband, other individuals with whom the client maintain a close personal relationship when there is risk of exploitation or potential harm to the client, sexual activity or sexual contact with clients' relatives and other individuals with whom clients maintain a personal relationship has the potential to be harmful to the client and may make it difficult for the social worker. Oh shit, I did it again. All right. Long story short, specific. Last one is social workers should not provide clinical services to individuals with whom they had prior sexual relationships. So like my ex-wife, my ex-girlfriend, my ex-fiance, ex-husband, whomever, I can't do it. Providing clinical services to a former sexual partner has a potential. So you pass them on to the next other social worker. There's plenty of social workers in the state of Ohio, Texas, Indiana. There's 38,000, I think, in Ohio. Likely to make it difficult for the social worker and individual to maintain appropriate professional boundaries. Physical contact. This is one a lot of people write about in their paper that they're like, this could maybe be hard for me. It says social workers should not engage in physical contact with clients when there is possibility of psychological harm to the client as a result of the contact, such as cradling or caressing clients, giving them a hug. Social workers who engage in appropriate physical contact with clients are responsible for setting clear, appropriate, culturally sensitive boundaries that govern such. It has sexual harassment, derogatory language, payments for services. Maybe they want to pay you with a dozen chicken eggs. That might be okay. That could be okay in some places. Like that's all they have. That's their form of money. That's what the money's going to buy me for breakfast tomorrow anyway. So how much eggs now anyway? I seen inflation there. Remember when they were like $1 a dozen or $2 a dozen? Really? I for real think a year ago it was $1. Yes, I swear to it. What's the cheapest you've seen them? Dozen.
$2.
Really?
Like $3.49. I don't know.
Okay. I guess I'm showing my age. But somebody could pay you in a few dozen chicken eggs. It is weird, but sometimes in the country, it is more often seen than it is in the city. So it shows you how to do every piece of your job, how to like pass them on if there's an interruption of services, how to close the case if there's a termination of services. And that's why it's so detailed, is there's a lot of stuff that comes up. And then we also have your ethical responsibilities to other colleagues. So any of these you want to write about. You could take a page or two on stuff you think would be easier for you to do, and then a page and a half or 2.5 on stuff you think would be hard for you. We also need to keep up our license. So there's that education and training. You got to get. What's that? I think it is only 3 to 4, right?
Mhm.
Whatever the syllabus says. If you have a hard time with that, write it in Courier New font because it's easier for me to read, and that makes 2 pages 3 pages. Most teachers aren't going to accept that, but I'm okay with it because it's easier for me to read.
Is it double space?
APA is always, the double space. And you can't count your cover page and your references page, which sucks. It would be fun to count those, but a 2-page paper would be nothing then. You would write nothing. You page and references and like, this is my paper.
Wait, so how long is the paper gonna be?
This one's 3 to 4.
And this is our next assignment?
Right.
How many days?
It's due on the 21st. That's why I keep on saying it. It's like every 2.5 weeks we'll have something.
How many more essays?
It's
There's a
lot more.
few.
Hey, you know, some classes, they like drop your lowest quiz grade.
Right.
You gonna drop the lowest essay grade?
Yeah, but if you do it, you guys will be okay. You'll be all right.
It's gonna change the whole thing.
Ain't this class about
Go back to
essays?
business.
Is it about ethics?
No, essays, like.
Well, social work in general is learning how to write, which is weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, I know that.
Mainly because when you work and interact with clients and see clients, that's what you're doing is writing about it.
Right.
How about writing
Is there something else we could do besides that?
A little question.
Like a group or something?
So we do have one presentation.
A little essay or something.
Can we like
But now the instructions is like, in this.
make
The presentation is like PowerPoint. Oh, PowerPoint is better.
There is one presentation with the PowerPoint, right?
Right.
Yep.
Projects.
That's coming up or?
It is coming up, yeah. So that one is fun.
That's
The field observation presentation, because we're only on values. Then you got your global social work paper. It's so easy though, for real. All you do is look up.
I mean, this one. How long is the PowerPoint?
Here's the PowerPoint.
So you gotta read the code of ethics and then compare it to our personal values.
Yes. Yep.
We gotta read about
With
it.
So-
in the code.
Right. So it's about life. What were you saying?
No.
It's about writing in general. And this is how you change the world. You can't change the world if you can't write. Period. I know it sounds crazy. And I can't write. I'm dyslexic and I have ADHD. Like all the way through college. Actually, in high school, I was told I was not college material for my whole damn life. And I had like a 0.5. What's that? What'd you say? It took a lot of work. So what's cool now is you guys have all these like voice to text options. You got computers read your shit for you. Well, they have a writing center. So like if you screwed up that bad, you could take it to our writing center. But right, which we did kind of have some of those. But to change the world, we have to write. Like how else do we get our great thoughts and ideas out there? I know they have vlogs now, so we do cheating with like a voice blog. It's a vlog. That's cool. But why not then transcribe it? You speak into like an email here and it writes your paper for you. Then put it into Word and cut it up and edit it, and there's your paper. Like that's how I had to write my dissertation. It was 150 pages. Had to do it all voice to text. And then put it on Word and edit it and then send it to the writing center and have other people look at it and then finish it. So sounds like a lot of work, but that's how you get shit written, how you get it done. It's like, it was either that or I learned real well how to landscape with my brother. He pays well. He's like 25 an hour, but it is hard ass work. And like, maybe I'm liking pushing paper rather than pushing a shovel. You know what I mean? So that's like the two jobs. We can close those windows if you want to. That way you won't have bees come in anymore. Yep. And we were debating on the ethics of the bees. Like, don't we need more of them to pollinate? That's how we grow our food. When we have good pollinators, we grow more food. They're only coming for your sugar for real. They want that Penn Station drink bad. They're like, give me a sip. You got sugar? Whose is that? That's what it was looking for. It smelled some sugar in here. Like, so anyway, that's all you guys have left. After the Code of Ethics paper, you have the Global Social Work paper. Again, that one's easy as you look up NASW and then the IFSW. Look up a job that's local here, what it pays. It's actually kind of fun. See how much you're going to live off of, and then look up an international job. Like I applied to be a social worker in Iraq 10 years ago. It was $100,000, but dangerous as hell because you got to be on the base in Iraq. So, but you're still semi-protected, I think. But so that's the Global Social Work paper. They always get a little longer. That one's 4 to 5. That's the longest one you have. It's not that bad. And then your presentation, field observation presentation, and then diversity. That's really it. And that's your whole syllabus. We're kind of following this one legit. Are we in week 5 already?
Yeah.
It's week 5.
God. So we're 31% done.
And then they said like interim grade next Friday.
Wait, what?
Interim grade next Friday.
That's tough. Anyways.
No midterm.
This is a lot of work for
If you
us.
failed our USS class, what happened?
Just take it again.
Take it again.
I'm for real.
Niggas was like,
Listen, I thought the
Yeah, we just had a whole
I
series
thought it was like a
of
study hall.
man,
And so
and they gave
what's
us homework. Like, oh
It
my
sounds
God.
like-
And I had like 100 assignments.
Yeah.
You were like, oh,
I got a 0%. I said, oh. I really thought that
USS 1000. That's only 2 credit hours anyway. Right. We're going to get you all through it, but suit up, show up, do your work, and you're done. Like 3.5 years, you're out of here. You're done. You can finish from Texas if you really wanted to. You can't do a social work major, but you can we have Crim J, we have sociology. There's like 5 online degrees that we have. So you can finish from wherever the hell you want. We're not accredited in social work to give an online degree. That's the only one. Mostly because it is working with people in person. Right. So you're like internship and all. So anyway, that's all of your assignments. And it teaches you how to adults. There's so many papers you guys got to fill out as an adult. It sucks. Like licenses, buying a house, selling a house, renting an apartment, contracts. What else is there? I mean, there's always something. But if you just get it done, like right ahead of time before it's due, you never have to look at it again. So usually, I think somebody said like that 1 second rule. You look at it, it touches your email once, go up to take a leak. I was like, I'll be in at 9:30, and it's done. So I just hit, if you send me, I will reply. Sometimes it goes to my junk, but so just let it touch your desk once. Like an email, you get it, reply. You get an assignment, do it, and it's done. And just kind of a flow, like a workflow to it. Like we just. I am a procrastinator, though. That's why. That's why I have to do that rule where right when I see it. It took me 8 years to finish my doctorate. I wrote my dissertation for 5. It's a 150-page paper. Like, so what is that? 30 pages a year, 3 pages a month, 1 page a week. So anyway, what is that?
We break it down like that.
Well, that's what my advisor said. He's like, so how do you eat an elephant? And I'm like, that's weird, dude. I'm a vegetarian. He's like, 1 bite at a time. Like, how do you eat that big mountain of food? Like, mindfully, and yeah. But I'll look at it all at once. Like you're a freshman, you're like, holy crap, I need 120 hours. How am I going to do this? One class at a time. It's only 40 classes. It's like 5 a semester. Semester is almost 4 or 5 months. So it's like 1 a month. I know you take them all at the same time. But you guys will do it. Remember how many people have a finished college degree, though? It's low. I thought it was more than that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You are right. I think it's only like